Thanks, Ted. Firstly, I'd like to thank Tom Karma and Pat Dudgeon for creating a safe space within suicide prevention for an Aboriginal gay person like myself over the last few years. They've been really wonderful mentors, and there's been a few occasions where it's been tried and tested on how we should work with us Aboriginal and Torres Strait LGBTI people, but they've been really wonderful in providing a safe space, and I feel very fortunate to be able to sit up here today and share some of the insights from the community that I belong to within our own community. I have a couple of points that I want to share with you as a person, not as a gay person and not as an Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander person, but just as a person with a lived experience of no different to a lot of other people, I guess, I just want to say. And these points come from a place of wounds, challenges, successes, and also from living. The first one is, sport is not the panacea to preventing suicide. I had this conversation with my mother this morning again. We've been having this conversation for about 30 years. I've had this conversation with my two brothers who have both captained and coached NTFL teams in Darwin. I've had this conversation with a cousin who plays AFL. I've had this conversation with a former Wallaby player and also a former Olympian. Not every kid can play sport. Not every kid likes to play sport. We need to come up with more engaging ways and different ways to engage our young people. What I've seen over the last few years is that there's a lot of celebrities that are popping up in the suicide prevention space and the mental health space. Earlier this year, I was fortunate enough to be invited to speak at the West Australian Mental Health Conference. I met a gentleman from the UK there named Professor Mike Slade. And we had quite a number of conversations. He advises internationally for the World Health Organization and numerous other things throughout Europe. And one of the things that he said to me, which resonated with me because it's something that I believe, celebrities inspire greatness, they don't inspire wellness. Local homegrown heroes inspire that wellness. So that's where the investment needs to be. We get quite a few celebrities who it's fantastic that they're opening up about their mental health and their suicidality, but the space in which they get to open up is quite safe. For a lot of us that isn't, and a lot of other people that isn't. So in those places that aren't safe, where we can invest in those local people, we're going to be able to inspire those others around us. And it's that wellness that we need to inspire. You can inspire greatness in so many people, but we need to inspire the wellness. And I think that really starts within the communities and the areas that we live in. Hope. We need to create more than hope. Hope doesn't build houses, it doesn't put food on the table, it doesn't create jobs, it doesn't get children to school. We need to create a future for our kids. We need to create possibilities. We need to create sustainable pathways. Question for you all. Hands up if you work for an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander organisation. Keep your hand up if you have an Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander LGBTI reference group. It's time that you do. And it's great to see a few hands up. What we know from North America, our brothers and sisters, the First Nations people over there, and also in Aboriginal Canada, that if you're a First Nations person or an Indigenous person who identifies as lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender or intersex, you are the highest risk group for suicide than any other ethnicity in the country and in the world. That's why I'm going to the United Nations. 2 years ago I set that goal because we need to have a nudge. I feel very privileged and fortunate to speak here today at this panel, I hope in 2 years' time, whether it's the World Indigenous Conference or it's our second conference, that one of our mob is up the front here delivering a keynote to say that there has been some improvements in the way in which service delivery has been done. As I said in my presentation on the first day, I don't believe our communities to be innately homophobic, but we need to address heterosexism and let people be aware of how those microaggressions compound the other elements and of oppressions that we experience and the many veils of racism as well. Is Stan still here? No. Whoever knows him, can you please pass a message on to him? It's time for an Aboriginal and Torres Strait on a panel to be on live prime time TV to talk about these issues. We need to get this out amongst our people. Our visibility is very, very important. One of the recommendations that come out of the Roundtable report that the federal government has funded, part of this project, was around our communities not having an understanding of who we are. If we're not out there and able to have the access to that prime time, people aren't going to know who we are and how to better interact as an organisation, as a community or a service. And we have some really solid, deadly people out there who identify under that rainbow banner. They have some really awesome things to say and are worthy to have that exposure. Thank you very much. Manmak.